I'm sitting here with the Pixel 6 Pro. Maybe you heard of it before. Solid phone, one of the best smartphone cameras you can get out there on the market, but it may not be the best. And when I say best here, I mean best overall, because you can see here across the back, quite a complement of cameras. You get a nice primary camera, a great wide angle, and a top-notch telephoto. Very good at basically everything that they do. But there are two areas here where it falls short when we're talking about what its capabilities are compared to other flagship phones. And that is, one, it does not have a macro mode. And you might be sitting there going, well, I don't know what macro mode is. Why do I care? Why am I missing out on it? Macro mode is what allows you to take what I like to call up close and personal, National Geographic camera shots. And I talk about this in a lot of videos that actually have a macro mode, because you can get up, that's how you take those really up close, really beautiful photos of like the water beads on leaves and little ants carrying things. It gives you exposure, no pun intended. Of course, we're talking about cameras here. So it is also Father's Day, so who couldn't get away with a dad joke on a Father's Day released video, right? So macro mode, you take those up close and personal shots. I love that. And that's something you can do with the iPhone 13 Pro. It's something you can do with the S22 Ultra. It's something you can do with a lot of other phones. So I really feel like the Pixel 6 Pro missed the mark there, because they totally could have done it. They just didn't do it, because even on the S22 Ultra and the iPhone 13 Pro, Pro Max, they don't have a dedicated macro mode camera lens. They use the ultra wide lens, and it does something weird. I don't know that much about it, other than it just, if you can take macro shots with it. It's something crazy, and they actually turn out really, really good. Now, there is kind of a stopgap you can do with the Pixel 6 Pro to take up close and personal shots, and that is to use the optical zoom and zoom in. And this, of course, works better with the Pixel 6 Pro than the 6, because you get that telephoto zoom, which is a true zoom, not just a digital one. So if you zoom in with that, you can actually emulate some pretty decent macro shots, but you're not going to be able to get the same level of up closeness and up close and personal, as you do with the actual macro lens. So I feel like that's something that's missing with this phone that would make it more complete. It's something that I really appreciate with other phones. So maybe we'll get that with the Pixel 7, and they can do it with the lens that's already on here. If you take a look, I've got the Sony Xperia 1 Mark IV. There's only 3 lenses on the back there. Same thing, primary, ultra wide, telephoto. And then if you were to look at the iPhone 13 Pro, it's only got 3 lenses on the back. This is something that doesn't require an extra lens if you do it properly. So that's just one of those things, kind of irks me whenever it comes to the Pixel 6 Pro and comparing it with other phones, because everybody likes to talk about how great the primary camera is, but then when you start getting more into the weeds and stuff, that's really kind of something that falls in between the cracks. So, second thing that's really not so pro when it comes to the Pixel 6 Pro is there's no Pro mode. And that's something that's available in the S22 Ultra. That's something that this entire phone right here is built around. The Sony Xperia 1 Mark IV is pro controls, pro camera video options, pro camera photo options. It's not just, hey, let me snap it, we'll do all the computational photography stuff. And if you're watching this, you may not understand what computational photography is and the AI-based stuff that they do with the processor. So when you get the Pixel 6 Pro, you take a photo, it actually does a lot of software enhancements to make the photos sometimes look better than they actually are. And that's a very common thing that goes on now. iPhone does it, Pixel does it, Samsung does it. It uses that for, especially for zooming in on things. It's something that you get kind of in conjunction with the 108 megapixel camera and the 100 times zoom with the S22 Ultra, where you're looking at the moon. It kind of fills in some of the gaps. It makes it look better. Even though it does look realistic, if it weren't for the computational photography and the stuff that the processor, it wouldn't look as good as it does. So having all that smarts and intelligence and all the stuff that goes along with the processor, it gives you an overall better photo in a lot of instances. And just throwing this out there, a lot of people, when they try to take manual mode photography shots, don't turn out as good as the auto ones do, because a lot of people don't understand how to take real photos. We've been so spoiled by these point and shoot cameras that we get on the Pixel and on other phones like the iPhone for so long, that we don't realize that there are some times that you need to be able to control the shot. And this is most evident when you go out and take a picture of the moon. If you use the S22 Ultra, you can zoom all the way into the moon, 100 times zoom, and then you can get a great shot of the moon. There are some cameras on smartphones that have a moon mode that do all that automatic settings for you. It's kind of difficult when you get something like the iPhone or the Pixel 6 Pro because they don't have manual controls where you can control all that stuff. And it really does show. You can go outside, you snap a picture of the moon with the iPhone and it looks like a turd, or kind of the same thing with the Pixel. It doesn't look all that great. It's kind of frustrating because it's just one of those things that if they gave you basic manual controls, then you could do that. You can adjust the ISO, you can adjust the white balance, you can adjust the exposure. There's all these different things that you can do simply with having an app that's built out for pro photography mode, for taking manual photos, as opposed to relying on the computer inside of the phone to do all the hard work and heavy lifting for you. Now, 90% of the time, that's not really a problem. A lot of times, the Pixel, when you just press the button and you snap a photo, it does the work for you and it takes an amazing photo. That's what was always so good about the Pixel phones, because before Apple, before Samsung, when it came to the Pixel, especially the Pixel 2, they were running laps around the iPhone and around the Samsung phones, just taking uncanny levels of pictures. And that was cool for a couple of years, and they kind of rested on their laurels. They got comfortable, they got lazy, and then everybody caught up. And it's funny though, because whenever you look at like the Sony Xperia 1 Mark IV, they rely so heavily on that. And I think there's a good balance to be found when it comes to pro mode and also the camera capabilities and also the normal auto mode. And I gotta say, in the Android world, the S22 Ultra is built out really well, because not only does it have all the dedicated modes, your live focus, your normal stuff, your portrait, then you also can do things like pro mode where you can adjust all those things. And in fact, one other nice benefit of using Pro Mode with the S22 Ultra is you can use wireless earbuds as a lapel mic for your video, which is pretty cool too. So having those levels of control in a phone like the S22 Ultra and the Sony Xperia 1 Mark IV really kind of takes it up to the next level, because you get the best of that kind of world where you can really control the shot and really control all the elements to get the best picture possible when it comes to your phone and your phone camera, as opposed to just whatever the phone serves up for you, which is not always the best thing. And I think that that's where Google needs to go next to compete. I'm totally fine with them doing their automatic stuff when you just press the shutter and you get an amazing photo. A lot of times I just want to pull my phone out and take a shot. And that's great, because then you can get a good photo that way. It's pretty reliable. But there are also times when you need to be able to adjust things. And it's the same complaint I have with Apple. When it comes to their equalizer for their sound, you can't change that. You're stuck with whatever it is because it does the adaptive EQ with the sound on the earbuds. I hate that. I really do. I want to be able to control that system-wide inside of Apple. They don't allow you to use that. So there's no pro camera mode. There's no pro earbud mode for the equalizer for the sound. iPhone wants to control everything for you. And that's really how Google Pixel approaches everything, because they think that they know better than you, I guess. They don't want you to be able to do all the manual controls. I really feel like that would be the next step they need to take when it comes to their computer hardware with their phones and their cameras, because I think that's where it's at. I think it's great to have auto mode, but you really should have a pro mode, especially when everybody brags about, and this has really been the bread and butter of the Google Pixel lineup since its inception. So cool that we get the AI stuff, cool we get the great point and shoot camera stuff. It needs a pro mode, and that's the other area I feel like it just really doesn't, not quite on the same level as some of the other stuff that's out there that's on the market right now. And I have a hard time saying it's necessarily the best, because it's missing out on capabilities and it's missing out on the completeness and the being able to take the best shot in every single scenario. So that's all I've got. What do you think? Do you think the Pixel is missing out because it doesn't have pro mode, or because there's no macro lens or no macro capability? I think there's something to be said there, and that's my thoughts on the video. So if you have any questions or comments, please go into the comment section. I will get back with you. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like and the subscribe button and the little notification bell if you want updates when new videos come out. And as always, thanks for being here. I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you guys next time.